welcome if you feel you really need or wish to make the odd note, but my encouragement would be to really give your attention to the listening, and what's being said will be recorded for future reference if you wish. Something about that just quality of listening to the immediacy of what's being offered. We so easily tend to think in terms of getting something to keep and take home or have for later, that whole relationship to experience, that rather than treating it as something that's for now, we relate to it in terms of how will it serve us in some other time or place. Very easily that movement, and that, in a way, dislocation from where we are and from attending to where we are or taking care of where we are is one of the primary tendencies we need to notice and be aware of. What we could, or one way we could understand or describe the process of meditation, the journey of awakening, is to go against the stream. And this was an image or a metaphor that the Buddha used, to go against the stream. We can see how that there's a momentum, and it's a powerful momentum, a stream or a current in our life that often carries us, and that we don't necessarily even know we're being carried by it until we try and check that momentum, or until we try to stand steady or still in the face of that stream and that flow. And there's a simple way, or one way we could frame and understand what that flow is about, is the movement of materialism, of materialistic attitude in our life and in our mind and in our experience. That is more than just the materialism of our consumer culture, but that comes down to a very simple premise, or a very simple belief, or perhaps fantasy, that suggests that there is something that is going to do it for me. Now, whatever it might be, and I spoke a bit earlier about the kind of things that we might long for, or yearn for, or feel drawn towards seeking in our lives. And they may be sublime and profound, or they may be quite sort of ordinary and simple. But whatever they might be, there's often the sense that there's something, or some way, or some condition or circumstance that when I get to it, or get hold of it, or somehow produce it, will be the resolution, will be the fulfillment, will be the relief or release or relaxation of that sense of it's not quite okay, it's not quite right, it's not how it should be. And when I get to this, or get hold of that, or them, or get rid of that or them or this, then, And we see it play out, of course, in our meditation practice. When we arrive perhaps for a day such as this, we might have the sense of, it's going to be calm, it's going to be peaceful, it's going to be sweet and soothing and spiritual. And how good that's going to be, because what I really need is some peace and some calm and some ease. And yet when we arrive, of course it may be like that, and why not? It could be. But it may also be that sometimes it's kind of boring, or busy, or just kind of more of the same. My mind goes on, my body sort of flops around. It's not that different in a certain sense to our life. And if we've invested something in this space or this time somehow resolving my life, we may be disappointed. Now, that's not to say that this can't be a contribution to that resolution. But this idea, this way that we can look at pretty much anything and pretty much everything as, or through this lens of, is this going to be what will do it for me? And if it is, I better get hold of it. And if it's not, I'm not interested. And if it's in the way, I better get rid of it. That's basically the the primary responses we have when we're not conscious and awake. It's like, I need to get this that's going to do it. That's got no effect on what I need, so I'm not interested, and that looks like it's in the way, so let's get rid of it. And this plays itself out in a variety of ways in our lives. The most simple, we could say, most obvious, and the most prevalent in terms of surface activity is the process that we see in the world of trying to get possessions, of trying to get things. In our culture, the emphasis and support that's given to the idea that if we can get the right things, we'll be happy. If we can get the right clothes, the right partner, the right house, car, job. And look how much energy and effort is put in, and how much money and time is spent by the world of production of things to convince us to consume them. So much. And with it, there's always this sort of subtext. It doesn't say it too obviously, but the subtext is, get this and you'll be satisfied. Get this and you'll be happy. Now, I don't imagine that any of you would be entirely fooled by that, because why would you come along here? You're not going to, this isn't like a lot of opportunities for acquiring useful things here. Things that you can solve your problems with in that simple sense of no one selling a nice coat, even though one possibly could have done with one as it started to rain at the end of the walking period. But if you haven't got one, like me, I haven't brought a raincoat, it's like, well, either going to have to get wet or go in. So that's not on offer here. And, of course, we understand the limitation of that whole fantasy of things. But there's a more subtle level that we easily come along to a meditation day or engage in meditation practice with, a more subtle level of that, which isn't to do with getting possessions, which we can see, all those things you could have. They're not going to do it for us in the end. We kind of know that. We're not that silly. And yet, what we can come in with a sense of, I need to have a certain inner experience. I need it to be calm, or I need it to be soft, or I need it to be alive, or we have some particular idea of how it should be on the inside. I need my mind to be quiet. I need my body to be comfortable. I need my heart to not ache so much. And if all that would happen, if my mind would be quiet, my body would be comfortable, my heart would not ache, then, that would be good. That would be worth having come here. That would kind of, that's what I was up for, wasn't it? Of course. Why else would, if we said, come along to a meditation day, your mind is going to drive you crazy, your body is going to hurt, and you're going to feel all those things in your heart that ache. Who would turn up? Who would turn up? Unless maybe we understood something about the value and the importance of meeting our experience. But the way that we place on it that weight of having to somehow produce for us some fulfillment of our need or our expectation or the resolution of our deeper longing, it can't quite bear the weight of that. We see it doesn't fulfill it. It doesn't produce it. It doesn't get us there in and of itself. It can't, actually. And there's a deeper, more subtle layer of what's going on for most of us much of the time in terms of materialism. And that, again, materialism being that sense that there's something that's going to do it for me, that's going to be the resolution to the condition of my life that somehow feels unresolved. And the more subtle level, starting with the gross, we could say, and that's not a pejorative term as I'm using it, it's more like it's the most obvious. The more gross is the world of material possessions and things. More subtle is the world of inner experiences, of feelings and thoughts and sensations and all that we encounter as we turn our attention within. But more subtle still than that, in terms of what we seek our solution through when we're not awake, when we're not conscious, when we don't understand the way things are. We look for a sense of becoming someone, for establishing a sense